Hey guys, in this video I wanted to show you the basic function and the installation of the Likewise RLX Reverse Lockout for the GR Yaris, which is now installed in a GR Corolla. The main function is that it has a much narrower collar here at the bottom. The factory lockout collar is very wide, which means you cannot put most shift knobs on it, and this opens up your shift knob choice. Also, it's just different in the sense that it has this handle you grab with two fingers to engage the reverse lockout. In my opinion, it feels amazing and it looks amazing, but it's not just for looks, it's also to fit shift knobs that wouldn't usually fit this car. The install is fairly simple, but it does need you to take pieces out of the interior, so in this video we'll go over the step-by-step process for that. As you can see, the lockout is already installed, so in the step-by-step process I'll be going through, it'll kind of be backwards in the sense that the lockout is already there, but the interior disassembly is going to be the same, and I'll show you the steps for removing the factory lockout as well. The first step to removing the interior for the reverse lockout is to remove the glove box. So open it up, empty it out, and then push on the sides here, just bend the plastic to pop it out like this. Now all that it's resting on is a damper in this corner. Simply grab the damper and push it off this little peg, and the glove box just comes right out. Then once it's down, give it a good yank, and it's out of the way. The next step is to remove this surround right here, which is held in by clips and a single screw. The screw is down here, so you'd want to remove that and then start pulling from the bottom. Once that screw is out, you can grab from the bottom, there's a little hole here, and start pulling. This is a bit on the tight side, so I'd recommend being a bit careful, but with enough pulling. And if you need a pry tool, you could also use a plastic pry tool to help. You can get all of these clips out. Yes, Toyota. There you go. That actually made it much easier. So there's 4 at the top. Then once those are out, just wiggle it until it comes loose. There's no screws here. And you can unplug this USB cable, or you could just leave it and hang this panel to the side. It won't really matter. But if you really want to unclip it, there's just a little button on top. Press that in, and that comes out. Throw that on the floor. The next step is to remove this surround, because this blocks the shift surround. Basically, it's as easy as just grabbing these edges and starting to pull up. It helps to pull out a little, right here. There you go. Both are up, and then just pull up and out. The good news is that Toyota put all the wiring harnesses on one side so you can lean everything over. Nothing really gets in the way. There's a bunch of plugs and it's fastened, so I would just recommend leaving it to the side like this. The last step is to remove the shifter surround. The shifter surround is actually very easy to remove. All it does is pop up. There you go, that's off. Then you remove the shift knob and the lockout. Since I have the RLX lockout, let me put on the original lockout and show you how that's done. So this is how your car will look from the factory. Take off the knob, just unscrews, and you'll have this plastic clip. This clip is just a C-clip, very easy to remove with 2 hands. You just push out with 2 fingers. I'm gonna have to put you down. Push out with 2 fingers like that. And don't break it like I just did. And then the spring shoots out, and this is now loose. I'd recommend taking this out from the bottom though. So once you have that out, just take the entire thing, flip it over to the side, and I would recommend just popping this out from the bottom. It makes this much easier. And that's your original lockout, all removed. And the next thing you do is notice that there is an O-ring here. The Yaris does not have an O-ring, and Likewise supplies one with your shifter kit, but the GR Corolla does for some reason, so just keep that there. Clean all the grease off, and use the supply grease to re-grease the entire thing, the entire shaft. Don't put too much on, because then it'll kind of get sticky and slow to retract. So just a thin layer of grease, and you'll be fine. The next step is to just take your lockout and slide it on top. And this is how it's supposed to be. Now you can't go into reverse unless this is slightly lifted and it goes over the cage. From there, it's just the inverse of disassembly. You slide this on top. It's going to be slightly challenging to push the boot over this new lockout, so just be careful with it. Try not to crease the leather, and unlike me, use 2 hands. There you go. Now this just pops right in. Line it up at the bottom, and there you go. You have a functional reverse lockout. To install the knob for the future, you take their thinner supplied spring, put it in, and instead of a C-clip, they just use a metal washer. This will ride under your shift knob and will allow smaller diameter knobs to fit where your stock clip, the broken one, will not. From there, to get everything assembled and keep that spring and washer from falling out, you could either put on the stock knob, which works just fine, or you can put on one of Likewise's knobs. They require an adapter, kind of like racing. So you screw that all the way on. These are vehicle specific, so this one is for Toyota threading. Then you take a 16mm spanner, which I do not own for whatever reason, tighten that on there, and now that will not escape. So now you have a functional lockout. And then over the top you can install your choice of knobs. I currently have this NAD, the standard one, not the Pro one. I would probably recommend the Pro one because it is heavier. And now you can see the text does not line up. Simple fix, just unscrew the knob and use the included Allen key, the giant one, to adjust this. So you can see now it's all lined up, everything's hidden, and it's perfectly functional. Now we have the reverse lockout. Can't get into reverse until you lift this, and we can continue with the reassembly of our interior. First thing you'll want to do is get this piece back on, so just flip it over. Make sure that your USB wire is not in the way. Stick it back down there, and just push it down. It doesn't seem to have any clips back there. It'll just line itself up. Then push these clips down and you're good. The next step is this piece. This piece is going to be annoying. The first step is to plug this in. It is kind of frustrating, so that's why I don't usually unplug it. Then try to line up the bottom tabs first, because those are the ones that don't go in every time. So make sure those are lined up and popped in, and then get the top ones lined up. There are 4 of them, and start pushing real hard. These clips don't always want to pop in, but once you hear that little click, you know they're in. This part is fastened, and as you can tell, the part with the screw is also currently fastened, so we'll just want to put that screw back in there. That screw is nice and tight. These screws tend to cam out very easily, so just be gentle with them. Once we're here, we're going to want to put the glove box back. So you just line up these 4 tabs, make sure they're all clicked in, raise it up, take this damper, pop it onto the peg, push these ends in, and that's all there is to it. Now that our interior is back together and everything's lined up, make sure this is lined up, that it's clicked in all the way. We can put in the last piece, and that's the handle. You can put it at various different heights. For this knob, I actually like it to be about right here so I can reach it like that. There are 2 screws that hold it in. Get the 2 screws started, then you can test it. This is where you want your shift lockout handle to be. Then just tighten them all the way with the included very thin Allen wrench. And make sure not to over tighten these. These are just threaded into aluminum, so you don't want to really crank on these. They don't come loose. And there you go. That is the install of the Likewise RLX Reverse Lockout for the GR Yaris, and now the GR Corolla. Now you can be shifting and then pull up into reverse. And of course, you can fit whatever knob you want, whether it's a Likewise knob or the factory shift knob or any new knob that didn't fit on the factory collar because it's so large. Pretty much anything here will work.